everyone, welcome to this Let's Talk video, and this video is about the celestial guardians of Earth and a race of beings called the Salcaritons. Now I'll spell that out to you, S-A-L-C-A-R-I-T-O-N, so hopefully I pronounced it right. This is actually a new race of beings being revealed to Earth, and they were revealed to Earth in my channeled book, it's the Atlantis. And if you go and read that book, you'll understand how they started to work with Earth under the Earth Alliance. This is part of a little series I'm doing from my book I've written called The Celestial Guardians of Earth. So if you actually, there's the book there for you. You can find it on Amazon or on my own Etsy shop at Bengal Rose. So these race of beings are not new to Earth, as in they've been with us for a very long time, but their name will be new to you because if I give some more explanation in a minute, you'll understand why that is. So this is channeled from my guide called Kyaserial, who's a Pleiadian being, and she has written with other Pleiadians the last 3 books I've written. So it's the Atlantis book, The Light Within Atlantis, New Earth, The Light over the Horizon, and this book, The Celestial Guardians of Earth. So in this book they just want to explain, the Celestial Guardians book, they just want to explain a bit more about these beings, because there is some stuff on our internet, Google, for our understanding, which has been interpreted from history, which has been misinterpreted, and other channelers are receiving information from these beings, and more information is starting to come out. So they wanted to talk about the Salcaritons so that we could understand them a bit more. So this race of beings are what they like to call light dimensional multi-transitional beings. Their true form is, if we could see them in our 3D reality, would be a light conscious form of existence. They reside, and I'm going to read some bits from this book, so I don't remember everything I've been channeled. If you imagine, thousands of words have been channeled to me and I don't remember everything. I remember bits, and sometimes when I talk about a subject things are re-triggered, but we'll see. I'll just get the area. So they live in an existence of our understanding, raised above the Sirius region of the universe, and a highly ascended light being ethereal race. So I've just explained that to you. They have, for us to understand the reality of some of these beings and the dimensions within their conscious reality of creation, they have 64 levels of existence, and this is growth existence. So there could be lower levels where they've got to learn more and they're not so highly ranking, and then they can become ascended masters, and it can grow till they become masters of complete masters of their race, and into very high hierarchy, and then the next stop after that would be the source energy, which would be God or the overseers of the universe. These are very highly ascended beings. It's way beyond our understanding, to be honest, and what I've been told, but I do understand that they can transmute into a form for our understanding, which I'll explain about a bit later. Now, their alliance with Earth started in, I've got the date here, 11,500 BC of our time, when they formed alliance with Earth in the 4th Atlantis experiment. Now I've got quite a bit of information about that in here, but if you actually want to go to the book, The Light Within Atlantis, that book is full of this information. Just so you understand, when you go to those, if you go to the Atlantis book and the New Earth book, they're written in a story context, and they did that because the planet they're based around, called Dakarat, which I'll be doing another video on, that species are a true existing species, but they wanted to do it in a form of a story because it helps translate the meaning of what was trying to be achieved in that story in Atlantis, and then they do a New Earth story that follows on from that. And then this book, The Celestial Guardians of Earth, is more of a factual book without a storyline in it, but it's actually the words of my guide. It's written in the third party from my guide. So if you go to those books, it's just so you understand that context of why they're written in that way. Trust the information, because there's loads of spiritual information there. I've had people come to me, so I've had to read it 3 or 4 times to understand everything that was said, which is good, because it just shows this, and it usually will ignite something in you. You've got ancient codes in you, and a lot of you have probably had incarnations in those time periods these books talk about. So their work in the Atlantis period, the reason they were asked to come and help with these experiments on humanity, was their specialization in DNA understanding and incarnation throughout the universe. So they started to, once they looked at the DNA structure of the humans that had been designed to live on Earth, they discovered that the way the human had been formed, their DNA structure was not connecting properly with the Earth energy and the high source energy to create a highly ascended being that would stay in the 5th dimensional ascension behavioural in love and consideration, compassion and light, but they were dipping back into the 3rd dimensional way of existence, which brought fear, doubt, because their bodies weren't holding, mind consciousness weren't holding the energy. So the Salcaritons actually brought their science to Earth to help with this, and they created the chakras. The chakras were put into place within the DNA structure of the body for them to help have channel battery points within the body above and below grounding to Earth, and this helped with this high energy that was being pulsed through the human form to try and get them highly ascended, because the human body needs to adapt physically as well as mentally to ascend fully. So this is a few thousand years ago now. So that's how they became involved in Earth. They were aware of Earth, they were aware of the intergalactic galactic councils, they were aware of the light councils, they were aware of what went on, but they hadn't actually been asked to help at any point. They became members of the light councils through the universe as well, so they got more involved. And so they just basically were a very highly intelligent species to help with them, to help the overseers with Earth. Right, so I'm going to leave a lot of this, because a lot of this is about the DNA and the structuring, so it'd be worth you reading to help you understand this race and how they've helped Earth and what they do. So how do they help Earth now? What are they doing with Earth at this moment in time? If you read this book, you'll understand about the architects of Earth, and these are one of the main architects of Earth. They've stayed since the Atlantis period working with Earth. With their experiences of incarnation, they still give knowledge today, and it's written here that their knowledge across the universe is invaluable to us, and that us is the guardians of Earth, using this information they bring to them. Now, a lot of Salcaritons still choose to incarnate, and when people touch and understand this soul energy within them, they can often see it as a heavenly realm, the Garden of Eden. And this is how it came about into the Bibles and the scriptures around Earth, for this heavenly existence, because they create for your understanding. So when you pass over and the human essence travels with the soul to the higher self, the human essence part sees this beautiful tranquil space, and they create a space that we'd be familiar with. So the human essence part would be familiar with the Earth existence, yet it's a lot nicer, cleaner, more beautiful, as the soul then, because the soul is a reflection of the higher self, integrates back to the higher self. And that's how the stories have come about, has been written within mankind, because it's an interpretation of what's been seen in those moments when somebody's died and gone, started to go over and come back again, and some are allowed to remember what they see. Now, if you're privileged to have worked with them, like I have, they will be seen in groups of 5. Now, I had written about them, but I hadn't actually registered the group of 5 being them. So what happened to me was I was in trance, and I had these beings come to me, and while I was waiting to speak and the energy was being adjusted for one of them to come forward and speak in our English language, I saw 5, what looked like 5 beings. I saw like a yellow field of flowers, beautiful landscape, blue skies, and they were standing there, but they weren't solid. They were like see-through beings. I could see pulsating, what looked like pulsating thin fluorescent veins, and they had form of head, body, hands, legs, feet, but I didn't see a face, and there were 5 of them. So I then found out later that these were these beings. When I started to channel this book, my guide said to me, you've actually seen these beings, you've seen them in your trance, and they work with you. Now, the reason they come in 5s is because they find the 5 energy works well with the human race. And if you actually read this book, you'll find out a bit more about that in it, the different, why we see 3s, 10s, 12s, 9s, the sequence of numbers which are more powerful than others. And it's because humanity is in an energy of 5 because of our senses, our respiratory organs, everything's also blocked into 5s. And it's hard to describe, but numbers, maths is actually a universal language, and it's an energy, and they work with that energy because we can understand it in our 3rd dimensional existence of these different sequences of numbers. It's possible for us to not consciously know, but subconsciously and through our DNA connect with these beings, because they can use that energy. It's 5 energies they call it. So you want to know more about that, it's in my book. They are, so if you want to describe one of these beautiful beings, the Salcaritons, they are what we'd understand as an angelic race. They live in very unconditional love circumstances, very respectful of each other, the hierarchy through their realms, and yeah, it's pretty amazing. Now, they have been part of Earth for a few years now. They first showed up in the Atlantis time, and in the 5th Atlantis experiment, because there were 12 celestial guardians that came to Earth to help with this time period, and they were known to the priests and priestesses of the Atlantis 5th and final experiment. They were seen, for those that had the sight, were seen as light beings with wispy energy, and they would move and can communicate telepathically. They came in different colours, so they were interpreted by their colours back then. Now, when a human eye managed to capture this and try to understand it, they often portrayed them in human form with wings. And this is how your archangels came about. We named them archangels, and we started to give them names like Michael, Raphael, and so on. So that is how your archangels came to Earth. It was in the Atlantis time, and they are this race of beings. And it's just how they show themselves, how they can show this, so they can show themselves in this true light form, or they can show themselves in the form I just described with these 5 beings, where they almost trigger a human look about them, but they're not human. They don't have that solid form, and it's my 3D reality trying to interpret what they're showing me in this trance state of being. I was then witnessed a few weeks later somebody else in trance, and we asked who they had with them, and they just started to describe themselves, how they were portraying themselves, and it was exactly the same how I'd seen. And this person didn't know this. This person hadn't been to the group before and knew nothing of this. So it's very interesting to see another person describing these same beings that I'd seen. And it also almost gives you clarification that you're not a complete nutball, and that these beings do exist and they are telepathically communicating with us. Also within the dimensional realms of this existence of the Salcarians is an elemental realm. Now this energy is sometimes used for our animals that pass over this place of existence, so like our dogs, our cats, and there is actually well, I suppose how can I call them for you? A highly ascended master called Sharon, or you probably understand as an archangel, who has a very feminine energy, and she actually oversees this part of their realm. So she's very senior in the ranking of their existence. And the rainbow bridge and the image of the garden they go to, and that imagery comes from people's sight who can see where their animals have gone. Now, I lost my dog back in April, and I was shown a vision of her by a tree in a field, actually with these yellow flowers again, looking back as if, and I knew she was running free. I knew where she'd gone. So this is why we often portray it as like them going over a bridge, and they go into this beautiful state of being, because that's where some of their higher self souls, the souls of the higher self come from. But not all souls come from this existence. Some come from other existences, but quite a lot do come from this existence. And this is how we've got that heaven. We go to heaven, we see beautiful gardens, and and they create a reality we're comfortable with when we first go back, for us to understand, yes, we have left our earth, but we're now in a new existence, and somebody's portrayed to us in a way that we can understand it, until we got that ascension and understanding and knowledge to move on and say, no, actually I am a different form now, and I move on to where I can understand. And I was talking to someone today about it, and I said, all I can do is tell you what I know, my knowledge, but we never truly know until we pass back over what our true existence is, and what our reality is we come from, and because it's all different, and what our purpose was. And it takes a lot of trust to understand knowledge you're being given like this. It's not a complete load of tosh-wash, and yes, this person is credible, this person's written lots of books, she's seen, she's witnessed, and it's just trusting that these beings are there trying to help us. They've actually named a couple of other high-ranking beings from their existence that work with Earth. So let me get this name of this one. Tyron oversees the progression of these light beings on their development journey through the ascension levels. So he's responsible, the 64 levels I mentioned earlier, he's like the overseer of making sure it all works and these beings learn and ascend and all travel through their existence to where they need to be on their development and their learning. I don't know, I think there's a couple more mentions as well, but I don't want to take all the surprises away for you. Right, so yeah, I'm going to leave the rest of that then, because obviously it'd be nice if you could actually read it in context with the book and you'll understand a lot better. Yeah, so these beings exist, and they are what I'd say the closest to what's been written in the Bible about heaven, the understanding of the God energy and the Garden of Eden and all of that. And if you've got to think about it, that all this source is from somewhere. It wasn't somebody with a great imagination thousands of years ago writing this. This came from source of people who could telepathically link with beings. People that had near-death experiences that came back and said, I saw the Garden of Eden, and or however they wanted to express it. People have seen these light beings and described them into visual drawings, and then in scripts are described as angels, archangels, ascended masters, whatever they want to describe them as. But their origin, they've been there for millions of years, but their origin on Earth started in the Atlantis period. So very new to your Google internet. If you put in that spelling at the beginning, you're not going to find them unless it picks up in my work now, because I'm the one that's putting it out there about them. They will become more into people's work, like the Pleiadians, your Taurians, your Andromedans, all of those started somewhere, and you just got to trust these races are real. And and I hope they're working with you, and if you find they are, connect, telepathically connect. They can only really work with us if we're open to hearing them and seeing them in our mind's eye, and not many will see them in their true form, because it's something beyond our three-dimensional visual understanding. So that's interesting. So hey, learn a bit more from my books and you'll learn a bit more about them, and they're going to become into the context of Earth's text, especially in the next 10 years, and then from then on they'll become a greater understanding around religion with them as well. So it should be interesting. So go and explore, my friends. Thank you. If you don't want to miss out on anything, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That will help you with that. I'm also contactable through www.bengalrose.co.uk, which is my website, and you can email me at sharon@bengalrose.uk if you want to ask any questions, or you've got any questions you'd like me to do a video about, and my guides can answer them. So I do that as well. It's called Questions Answered, and if you look on the videos you can see some of those. I'm also founder of One Spiritual Movement, www.onespiritualmovement.com, and again the email address is similar to the web address, and the email address is similar to the web address. And I've got Facebook linked to this, pages, I've got Instagram, Twitter and LinkedIn. So you can find me in a lot of places and follow me. I do regular videos, and I really enjoy my work in bringing you this channeled information to help you with your spiritual knowledge and your path while on Earth. So please enjoy. Thank you.